Stop living your life based on a blueprint you didn't even write. Most people are shouting all over themselves, waiting for a permission slip that is never coming. If you want to change your life, you have to change your standards. Because you don't get what you want, you get what you tolerate. It's time to burn the boats, bridge the gap, and decide right now. Who are you musting to become? The very heartbeat of becoming the person you visualize in your mind begins with a single massive realization. Your life is not a product of your circumstances. It is a product of your decisions. Most people live in a state of conditioned response, reacting to the economy, reacting to their boss, or reacting to how they were treated 20 years ago. They believe their past is a prison sentence, but the past is only a ghost if you refuse to give it power in the present. When we talk about the power of decisions, we aren't talking about a wish or a preference. A real decision, a true, deep, visceral decision, comes from the Latin root deceder, which means to cut off. It means cutting off any other possibility except the one you have chosen. It is the moment you stop saying I'll try and start saying I will. +1. Most people fail to become who they want to be because they are paralyzed by their conditions. They wait for the right time or the right amount of money or for someone else to give them permission to be great. But the right time is a lie designed to keep you comfortable in your mediocrity. Destiny is determined in those moments when you are under pressure, when the stakes are high, and you decide to raise your standards. If you want a different life, you have to demand a different level of performance from yourself. You have to decide that you will no longer tolerate the version of yourself that makes excuses. This shift happens the second you move from a should to a must. When something becomes a must, you find a way. You break through the walls of fear and doubt because the cost of staying the same becomes more painful than the price of change. Your decisions create the momentum. They are the spark that ignites the fire of your psychology. You have the power to redefine your identity in a heartbeat, but it requires you to stop looking at what's happening to you and start looking at what is happening for you. Your life changes the moment you take total responsibility for your power to choose. To become the person you truly want to be, you must first acknowledge that you are likely living inside a mental cage built by someone else's expectations, past failures, or outdated social norms. Most people are operating from an old blueprint, a set of internal maps and rules that dictate what is possible for them, what they deserve, and how they should behave. This blueprint is the silent architect of your frustration. It is the gap between where you are and where you want to be. If your blueprint says you are not a math person or not a leader, you will subconsciously sabotage every opportunity that proves otherwise. Because your need for consistency with your self-image is the most powerful force in the human psychology. To break this cycle, you have to do more than just think positive thoughts. You have to burn the old map to the ground. You have to recognize that your identity is not a fixed concrete slab. It is a fluid, living thing that you have the authority to redefine at any moment. Most of our blueprints were formed when we were children or during a time of intense pain, and we've been carrying those heavy rusted chains into our adult lives, wondering why we feel exhausted. Breaking the blueprint means aligning your psychology with your highest vision. It requires you to audit your beliefs with a level of radical honesty that most people find uncomfortable. You have to look at the stories you tell yourself about why you can't have the health, the wealth, or the relationship you desire, and you have to call those stories what they really are. Lies designed to keep you safe from the risk of failure. But there is no safety in a life unlived. To step into your future self, you must adopt a new set of beliefs that act as a propellant rather than an anchor. You have to consciously choose a new identity and then feed that identity with evidence. You don't wait to feel like a leader to lead. You lead until the blueprint catches up with the reality of your actions. This is about psychological surgery. It's about ripping out the I can't and the I'm not enough and replacing them with a relentless focus on who you are becoming. When you change the internal representation of who you are, your external world has no choice but to follow suit. You are the author, the architect, and the builder of your own soul, and it is time to stop building a shack when you were meant to inhabit a cathedral. Gemini said, the absolute tragedy of the human condition is that most people spend their entire lives standing on the edge of the cliff of their potential, staring at the other side and studying the wind. They collect data, they read the books, they attend the seminars, and they tell everyone who will listen what they know. But let me tell you the truth, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. The only real power in this universe is focused, consistent, massive action. To bridge the gap between the person you are today and the person you are dreaming of becoming, you have to stop learning as a way to procrastinate and start executing with a level of intensity that scares the average person. You see, the gap is filled with the fog of maybe and someday, and the only way to pierce through that fog is with the sword of absolute certainty. Most people fail because they try things with a we'll see if it works attitude. If you go in with a we'll see mindset, you've already lost. You've given yourself an exit ramp before you've even hit top speed. Certainty is a state of being you create inside your own body. It's a physical force. When you move with total certainty, your brain stops looking for reasons why it won't work and starts demanding ways to make it happen. You have to close the gap by deciding that failure is not an option, it's just feedback. If the first way doesn't work, you find a second. If the second doesn't work, you find a third. You change your approach, but you never ever change your resolve. This is where the winners are separated from the talkers. The talkers are waiting for the feeling of confidence to strike them like lightning, but the winners know that confidence is a result of moving forward while you're still shaking. You bridge the gap by taking the first step when you can't see the rest of the staircase. You have to commit first and figure the rest out later. That is the physics of transformation. Every giant leap in human history was made by someone who acted before they were ready, because ready is a plateau where dreams go to die. You bridge the gap by outworking your doubts and outrunning your fears until the person you want to be becomes the only person you know how to be. Gemini said, "The ultimate secret to a permanent transformation, the one thing that separates those who settle from those who soar, is the psychological shift of raising your standards. Most people in this world live their lives based on a list of shoulds. I should lose weight, I should be more money, I should be more present with my family. But here is the cold hard truth. You don't get your shoulds in life, you get your musts. We all get what we tolerate. If you tolerate a body that is tired and weak, that is exactly what you will have. If you tolerate a career that drains your soul, that is where you will stay. Your life right now is a perfect reflection of your current standards. To become the person you want to be, you have to stop shooting all over yourself and turn those desires into non-negotiable requirements for your soul. You have to reach a point of inner threshold where the pain of staying where you are is greater than the pain of the work required to change. When you raise your standards, you are essentially changing your identity. You are saying to the universe, this is who I am and this is what I represent. Raising your standards isn't about a New Year's resolution that fades by February. It is about a fundamental shift in what you consider acceptable. Think about the areas of your life where you have high standards. Maybe it's your hygiene or how you treat your children. You don't even think about those things. You just do them because they are part of who you are. Now imagine if you applied that same level of must to your physical vitality, your financial freedom, and your spiritual growth. When you raise the bar, you find a gear you didn't know you had. You stop looking for excuses and start looking for ways to win. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be committed to constant and never-ending improvement. Most people are trying to change their behaviors, but behavior is just a symptom. If you want a real breakthrough, you change the standard. You decide that good enough is the enemy of greatness. You demand more from yourself than anyone else could ever possibly expect of you. That is how you move from the person you were to the person you were born to become.